What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Celtics Daily with me, Mike Zakarian, as we continue to dive into Brad Stevens' brain as we figure out what the heck the Boston Celtics are going to be doing for the rest of this NBA offseason. Today, we got a good one because we got a big speculative trade. We saw a former Boston hero go out west. We've got a less sexy trade, and of course, we have your comments. But before we get started, if this is your first time hanging out with us here at the Celtics Daily, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe, the notification bell, get involved in the comments. We're approaching 2,000 subs already, all right? We're cooking, baby. So get involved. Join the party. Speaking of joining the party, I don't know how much smoke there is to this mock trade that I saw on Bleacher Report. Let me make sure I give the right guy some love here. Connor Toms of the Bleacher Report was saying, hey, what if the Celtics go get a different Eastern European big man? We've seen the Eastern Europeans rise, right? Nikola Jokic, Luca Doncic, Jonas Valanciunas. I can't believe I said him third in that list of guys. But what about the Sacramento Kings? The Kings, famously pretty good at just making weird deals. So if you were ever trying to fleece another organization, it's good to get involved with the Sacramento Kings, the Chicago Bulls, and the New Orleans Pelicans. So the Kings here are in a weird situation because two of their most expensive players should not be as paid as highly as they are. Sorry to pocket watch here, but let's be honest. LaVine and Sabonis both making like almost 50 or over $50 million, excuse me. Now, I'm going to throw this trade out here. I don't think the Celtics are interested in doing this, but I'm curious what everyone else's thoughts are. So here is the deal. The Celtics would receive Domas Sabonis. Big Domantas Sabonis would come on over, fill a very important need for Boston, right? A big guy that you can actually play through in the post, right? He's got great passing ability. I used to call him Jokic Light or Diet Jokic because he was able to put up like similar numbers, almost like similar's aggressive, but like borderline triple-double type stuff. If we pull up looking at his basketball reference and see what he's been doing the last couple of years, right? On last year, he averaged 19 points, 14 boards, and 6 dimes, shooting 59% from the field, 41% from three. Wow, 41% from three was actually surprising to me. But like his last couple of seasons since like getting to Sacramento, he's just been a monster, right? 2 years ago was another 19, 12, and 7, 19, 12, and 5. So he's just all over the place. And again, it would be another like addition offensively. Defensively is a little bit of a problem, but if you have everybody else playing solid, sharp defense, you can kind of hide it a little bit. We've seen again, not to compare him to Jokic, but we saw the Nuggets win a title with a less than stellar defensive big, right? So anyways, in this deal, Celtics get Sabonis. The Kings would receive Anthony Simons, Sam Hauser, Georges Niang, Nehemiah Queta, and 2 first-round picks. That is so much for Sabonis. It also leaves the Celtics like pretty thin with the other types of rosters moves they can make, right? Because that basically limits you to a 1-year window. Although Sabonis' contract, I believe he just has he's got this year and then 1 more year after this, I'm pretty sure. But it would give you Sabonis, Tatum, and Brown while keeping White and Peyton Pritchard. But you would be so desperate in 2 years for those young guys to cook. Now, maybe this is a move the Celtics are just trying to get him for 1 year to fill the gap if they don't want to tank. But I don't know. This to me feels super desperate. It feels super desperate. He's like, again, just a little bit more on Sabonis in case you're unfamiliar. Versatile big man, 29-year-old. This is according to Yahoo, an elite playmaker, averaging 6.4 assists per game over the past 6 seasons. Again, I'm curious what people think. Like, if he was making something like $30 million a year, right? If his contract was 30 is probably the same that Simons is making, right? But let's say he was making like 35, 37 million a year. That's probably something you could stomach a little bit more. But I don't understand why the Celtics would go try after they've just gone aggressively, super aggressively, trying to cut costs, and we know they're still not even done doing that. Now you're telling me you're going to trade like 5 different assets to go get Sabonis, who I don't know. I mean, it's not even like he's shown interest in wanting to come over here, so I don't know how likely that is. But it did get my brain just spinning a little bit, right? Because we did the trade conversation last week about 2 weeks ago about Nikola Vucevic, right? Making a move, sending Simons to Chicago to potentially get the Chicago Bulls big man. I'm trying to think of are there other bigs out there? Like, are we? And me personally being a little too small-minded, both intellectually speaking and size speaking, or being too small-minded, not thinking about potential bigs that could come in here, because that truly is the biggest hole that we have right now. I know people have mentioned power forward. That, like, the forward position, I think, is fine and easier to fill, especially, like, again, gap year. When Tatum comes back, all of a sudden you're not down so bad at the 4. At the 5, though, there really isn't a path forward, although there has been lots of conversations from you all specifically about Luca Garza and what he could develop into. And not to go on a tangent here, but like, let's just talk Luca Garza here for a second, because I do think there's a lot of people who believe that he is going to blossom into something that he is yet to show. And I get that, like, when he was on Minnesota, there's been a conversation around, like, hey, listen, he was behind Rudy, he was behind Naz Reid, he was behind Karl-Anthony Towns for a while. It was hard for him to get out there. Okay, that's fine. So in his first year, this is going to be his 5th season, all right? So he played 1 year in Detroit, 3 years in Minnesota. So he played 32 games his rookie season, 28 his second, 25, and then 39 last season. His rookie year averaged 12 minutes a game, but after that, 8 minutes a game, 4 minutes a game, 5 minutes a game. Like, I think that is a pretty big ask for someone who has played no more than in the last 2 seasons, over 6 minutes a game, to be like, well, maybe he could come in and start for the Boston Celtics. I do think that is a big ask. I mean, honestly, if he could just do legit backup center minutes, like if you told me he gave you 12 minutes a game, shot 38% from 3, was able to do, like, rebound the ball a little bit, okay, that's cool. I'm down for that. I am down for that. But I do think if you were going, I don't know, maybe this is just how my brain works, but if you're going into the season assuming someone who has never done a thing to do the thing, you're setting yourself up for disappointment, in my opinion. I would love to be wrong. I would love to make this a Garza party. Maybe we change this to the Luca Garza Daily and do that instead. I just think that's a pretty big ask we're putting on a guy that's never done it. And that's for all of these guys, too. Key to every single one of them. I think this is just going to be a lot. This is going to be a lot of a season. Anyway, so thinking about our big rotation and then this Sabonis deal, thumbs down on the Sabonis deal. I actually think this is a pretty bad proposal. Even if it's a mock trade, I think it's a pretty bad idea. But I do want to start thinking about some other bigs here moving forward that the Celtics could potentially attack. I also heard a great take from somebody, and I apologize for not having the name down, Kristaps Porzingis. You're right. One of the reasons he was somewhat of an attractive piece, although I guess he wasn't because we didn't get too much from him. But when we knew that teams were going to be interested in him because he only had 1 year left, kind of like Simons, right? Simons only having the $30 million. You can, like, flip that again, whatever. If for whatever reason it doesn't work out in Atlanta, there is a world where KP comes back next year, right? He gets to go play active basketball with the Atlanta Hawks, who are going to be fighting for playoff positions all season long. And then, if it's not the best of fit, or even if it is a good fit and he has a good time, but he's like, whoa, Tatum's back? Atlanta's not going to pay me that much money? If they're not going to pay me that much, let me go back to Boston. Let's go hang out in Boston. So I don't know. I'm kind of keeping my fingers crossed for that. I really enjoyed having him on the squad. All right, let's look at another mock trade. Or another rumor with the Grizzlies. This one, not nearly as fun. This is being reported by, let me get the Ari report, an NBA insider. Says the Boston Celtics and Memphis Grizzlies have engaged in trade discussions centered around on Anthony Simons, with the framework that would send KCP and draft compensation to Boston. This is another one, and it just goes to show you where we are leverage-wise here as a Celtics organization. I think the rest of the NBA right now knows, by all of the moves that Boston has made in the last 2 months, they are aggressively trying to cut salary. We saw it in the return they got from Jrue Holiday, in Kristaps Porzingis, in just all of the different trade talks that have been going around. So you're not going to get anybody's best offer because they know you're already trying to move off the money. So KCP, if you remember, on the Denver Nuggets NBA championship team, gets traded to, signs with Orlando for a decent bag for KCP standards, and then ends up having maybe his worst year in his career. Both three-point shooting, defensively, everything had stepped down. The Orlando Magic then flip him along with 155 first-round picks over to the Memphis Grizzlies to go get Desmond Bane. Orlando decides they're going all in with their young core while they can before the Paolo extension hits. And now, when that trade happened, everybody out there, Almost everybody out there. First, they acknowledged KCP had a tough season, but then they were like, yeah, well, that might just be the exception, not the rule. What if KCP's actually a great fit for Memphis? Plays defense, can still shoot the three ball really well. And now you're telling me that Memphis is is looking to move off of him right away? I think this is a dumb move for Boston. I don't love it. I don't love how much he's getting paid. I don't like yes, it could be the exception to the rule, like we said, and I'll pull up KCP's 3-point percentage. And again, maybe he is a good fit in Boston because of the way he can shoot the ball, the way that he actually defends. Last season, he shot 34% from three. He's a career 36% shooter from three. When we look at the last couple of seasons, so we're not like just cherry picking here. He shot over 4. Well, I'll round up 39 to 40. Ready? So the year the Lakers won the title, I believe he shot 41% from three. Then he goes to Washington for half the season, and then Denver, and that combined he shoots 40. His last year with Denver, he shoots 40, and then it drops down to 34%. I do think a lot of that gets inflated by Nikola Jokic because of the wide open looks you get. But anyways, we talked about a deal that was like Brandon Clark. Who else was it? Brandon Clark, Vince Williams Jr., maybe Conchar, something like that. A couple of different assets. And now it looks like they're just trying to go that Memphis is like, here, you can have this KCP contract. Because I think Simons will get paid a little bit more than him. KCP, I believe, is around $20 million. Take KCP, take him off of our hand. We'll throw a couple draft picks at you. I hate that. But again, I think it goes back to leverage. Speaking of leverage, Marcus Smart, baby. Marcus Smart, my boy is wicked smart, is headed to Tinseltown. He got bought out by the Washington Wizards, signs one of those cheap deals that we thought Damian Lillard was going to sign before he decided to go home to Portland for about $11 million. He gets to go play with Luca Magic, with LeBron James, with Bronny James, with Austin Reeves. He's going to the Lakers. Now, I saw a couple of takes out there, and I just want to address the Celtics nation, the Celtics fandom, the Twitter heads that were out there talking about this over the weekend. They were saying, how dare you? How dare you, Marcus Smart, go to the Lakers, all right? That's like Luke Skywalker joining the dark side. That is like Jacoby Ellsbury playing for the New York Yankees, which he did. That's like, I can't think of another example. You'd never see Larry Bird play for the Lakers. You know what else you wouldn't see? Larry Bird get traded. And that is what happened, right? And I think that's what, like, Marcus Smart was traded to the Memphis Grizzlies to get Kristaps Porzingis here. Then he immediately gets hurt, and then is banished to the Washington Wizards, has to watch Jordan Poole go, and then throw layups up, right? And then now he gets bought out, so he doesn't even get the rest of his cash, and then goes to L.A. It's so like, you can't play Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart owes us nothing. If Isaiah Thomas went and played for the Lakers, which I think he did for a hot minute, we wouldn't be mad at IT, right? We're the ones that screwed him over. So anybody that's mad at Marcus Smart being like, I can't believe, how would you do this? How would you go play to the enemy? Marcus Smart's probably like, well, how did you freaking trade me? For a decade, everybody was like, the heart and soul of the Boston Celtics is Marcus Smart. So anyways, I think this is good for Marcus. I'm excited for him. Sure, would I prefer it wasn't in purple and gold? I would have liked for him to go to like Denver or something, or even Golden State for that matter. Yeah, of course that's what I'd prefer. But I'm happy he's playing for a real basketball team again. No one over the age of 28 should have to play for the Washington Wizards, okay? He is still like a grit and grind guy, shout out the Grizzlies, but he can impact winning, right? I don't think I saw some start. This is how thin the guard position is for the Lakers. Well, not even thin. I don't know the defensive nature of the Lakers. This is how thin they are. That Marcus would be starting. Marcus Smarting would be starting. Good Lord, it's early in the morning. That he would be starting for the Lakers. I don't know. I don't know if that makes the most sense. But if he's only playing 24 to 28 minutes a game, get out there, play defense. You don't need to take a ton of shots. Can do some secondary playmaking, right? I don't know. Maybe he even shoots the three ball a little bit better because he's going to be wide open when you have Luca and LeBron doing those types of passes to you, right? He's going to be like the fourth or fifth option every time he's out there. So I think this is a pretty low-risk, high-reward deal. And the Lakers, who were relatively quiet this offseason, now all of a sudden seem to have, I wouldn't say have positioned themselves, but the best that they could do in the financial situation that they are. They had DeAndre Ayton for pretty much nothing, Marcus Smart for pretty much nothing. Those are two guys that are going to play rotation minutes that have to make up the pace for. Like, it gives them a big, right? Because now they don't have to play Jackson Hayes and to try to replace Dorian Finney-Smith. So I don't know. I just don't want us to be mad at Marcus Smart, okay? That's like you cheat on your. That's like the Coldplay thing. You cheat on your wife, and then you get mad that she divorces you, or that your ex finds somebody new after you screwed them over. Right? We can't be mad at Marcus. Be mad at yourself. Turn the mirror inside. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's look at your comments from the last video we did, and then we will wrap up. Hey, but before we get into your comments, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done it yet, all right? Let's get us up to 2K. Also, you can see the sun creeping through right now. This is like, you can tell I have angelic takes right now. All right, here we go. Let's go. Sorry, this is chaos. Chaos, chaos, chaos. And I moved my notes. Beautiful job by me. All right, so we had a few comments that I want to get into. The last video, if you recall, I laid out the case for the tank, the case for tanking. And a lot of people hated it. So let me go, let me pull this up for you and explain why some of you guys hated it. There were some really good takes, though, in there. So please keep those coming. But before we do the tank, let's talk about Dave's not here, man. Dave's not here, man. He says it's AJ DeBonsa or bust. AJ is from Brockton, Massachusetts. Grew up a Celtics fan. It's destiny. Do what you have to do to get that kid. He's probably going to grow another inch over the next year, too. I think I forgot to mention that he was from Brock Vegas, baby. Shout out Brock Vegas. I'm from that area. I was actually in that area this weekend. Seeing my family. But yeah, I forgot about that. I think it's really hard to assume you're going to get the number one pick. But as much, I love this take. Let's go get AJ. I love this take. Let's get AJ. All right, Vicky, 7657. What's up, Vic? He said, and I'm going to read all of these comments together here and then address them because this is all kind of the same thing. So Vicky says, the idea of tanking is interesting in theory, but we're still just too talented. I think that's fair. Adrian Johnson says Jaylen Brown wants to play his 65 games to be eligible for those postseason awards. I'll pause that here. For those unfamiliar, like in order to qualify for MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, All-NBA, you have to play 65 games a season. And then he went on to say he will be quite upset if he is not afforded the opportunity in a season without Tatum. But otherwise, yeah, team does look a bit slow. And then the last comment here from Slim Reaper. Says Slim Reaper 747. Is that a Kevin Durant? But anyways, he says the Celtics tanking is one of the dumbest takes I've heard in a long time. I am sure the new owners still want butts in seats. The Celtics still have enough to finish fifth in the East. Why would players mail it in? Putting up lousy numbers is not in a player's best interest. If they wanted to tank, they would have moved JB, Derek White, and Sam Hauser for a haul. Hey, all fair comments. All fair comments. Here's what I would say. I think the best case for this is the 65 gamer that was it Adrian mentioned. That Adrian mentioned. I do think that is a tough sell for guys like Jaylen Brown and Derek White, who, Derek White probably wanted to make an all-NBA team after he was snubbed. I mean, an all-defensive team after he was snubbed this past season. Jaylen Brown for sure wants that. But sometimes you can see the forest through the trees. Jaylen Brown has already been paid that supermax, right? He's already got like $300+ million, and I don't know if he can unlock any other incentives by making an all-NBA, because like once he made that all-NBA, that allowed the Celtics to pay him as much as he was able to make. But to your point, I don't think, and to the Slim Reaper's point, I don't think anybody wants to tank. Nobody's out there saying, yeah, let's play lousy basketball. But what ends up happening, remember the Golden State Warriors, right? And this pick didn't work out for them. It ended up being James Wiseman, and that obviously failed in the COVID draft. But Steph gets hurt, and they're like, hey, let's retool this. We don't have Clay. We don't have Steph. KD just left the team. Let's shut them down. Let's shut the team down. We'll rev back up. Then they win the title in 2022. Think about how the freaking Spurs went on their run. David Robinson was shut down that year. All of a sudden, Tim Duncan arrives. They win the lottery. I don't think this is a long-term tank or anything like that. I'm just saying, strategically speaking, there is a window here to just inject your team with some talent. The Sixers are not the same situation because the 76ers, for whatever reason, will forever be a dumpster fire. But Philly was able to, they're like, Embiid's only going to play like 35 games this year. Paul George got hurt. Shut it down. Maxey, take a couple of weeks off, Tyrese. Take a couple of weeks off, and then bang. All of a sudden, VJ Edgecombe, you get the third overall pick. It's a one-year thing. This isn't like a multifaceted tank. This isn't a trust the process. This isn't Danny Ainge going, yes. This is just like a one-year thing where we know Tatum is back. That being said, Twitter doctors, zoom in. I don't know how many people saw. I don't know if you follow the old Jason Tatum on Instagram. Looked like he was flying somewhere. No boot on. He didn't have the boot on. Tatum might be back sooner than later. I can't believe you guys are getting me suckered into this take. I was so adamant that Tatum tore his Achilles. He's done for a year. That's just what they do. And now all of a sudden, I'm seeing him in the pool. I'm seeing him on a plane. And now I'm like, maybe you were right. Maybe you were right. Maybe the Celtics are like 2 games over 500. It's January 15th. All of a sudden, Brad Stevens gets in front of the press conference and the microphone. He's like, hey, Jason Tatum projected to be back first game after the All-Star break. And now you get like a 5-seeded Boston Celtics with Jason Tatum coming back. Whoo! I'm buying the hype. I'm buying it. I'm preparing myself to be hurt. I started this video saying we should lower the bar so that way we're not disappointed, like when we were talking about Luca Garza. And then I end the video by doing that exact same thing. So I am an idiot. But I appreciate all of you guys hanging out today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like it. Get involved in the comments. Tell me what I did good. Tell me what I did bad. And we will see you tomorrow.